plaintiff, Jason Handelsman, lived in New York during 9/11. And after that, he became homeless and started using and selling crack and heroin. Jason claims while high, he thought he was possessed by ODB from the Wu-Tang Clan and started rapping at clubs. And that's when he met the defendant. He's suing him today for breach of contract. Defendant Rob Goyanis says when he met Jason, Jason was a dumpster diving street punk, and Rob wanted nothing to do with him. However, Rob claims they eventually became friends because they were both in the music scene. But Rob denies owing Jason for anything.
Start with you.
Your Honor, in order for me to explain how I know Rob, I have to give you a little bit of a personal background. On 9/11/2001, I was living in New York City. I worked on Ground Zero. And that morning, I saw planes hit the building. I saw people jumping from the building. I saw people running for their lives. There was debris coming towards us. And I suffered somewhat of a post-traumatic stress from that. I had to go to counseling for a little bit. And I came to the conclusion that I had to get out of New York City. I had to get far away from everything. So I went to Europe. I bought a 6-month open-ended ticket to Europe. And so I went to London, and I quickly had a relapse into drugs and alcohol. And I became a homeless person.
When had you been on drugs and alcohol?
Way prior to 9/11, like when I was in high school.
All right.
And then I hadn't done it for about 4 or 5 years.
Mm-hmm. Had a relapse in
I had a relapse, serious relapse, which led me to pretty much be a person of the street in Europe. By the time it was time for me to come back to New York City, I had a long beard, I had this long hair, I hadn't showered in a while, and I ended up in Miami around November of 2004. And I was living in a park and with other homeless drug addicts, and people told me about these abandoned houseboats that were nearby in the bay. And I moved into one of those houseboats, and nearby there were people cooking up all kinds of crystal meth and crack and all kinds of stuff.
What year was this, 04?
This was, November of 04.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm on the houseboat about 4 in the morning, and I see this white, it was a paranormal experience. I see this white light, and I see the skyline of Miami, and I start to move a little bit, and the white light is like coming at me. And
Didn't you say you still were using drugs?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Go ahead.
Yes. And so now
when you saw the white light?
I was using drugs, yes.
Gotcha. Go ahead.
So this white light hit me, and I fell off the boat. And I'm in the water, I get out of the boat, and I row my dinghy back to the shore, and I start rapping, and I realize that the ODB from Wu-Tang Clan had passed away, like a night or so before this happened. So I was convinced that I was possessed by ODB of the Wu-Tang Clan. I started.
Now, how much had you done?
Probably quite a bit.
Okay, go ahead.
And so, but that was, I was selling crack and heroin. Mm-hmm. I was on the street and I was using crack and heroin. Mm-hmm. I was sleeping under a bridge.
That's
for a
what
while.
I'm saying. It makes sense. Let me hear from you, sir.
Well, Your Honor, I first met Jason when his name was Azar. That's what he went by when he was living on a houseboat out in Coconut Grove. I was a teenager at the time, and I was also involved in the Miami music scene. And when I met him, he was a dumpster diving street punk, and he had the long beard, long hair. And yeah, I kind of wanted to stay away from him because he freaked me out a little bit.
All right, and how did you become unpossessed?
Well, I became the Ghost of Dirty. That was the name of my performance act. Mm-hmm. And I started performing at clubs in Miami, and I gained somewhat of a following. There were people who wrote about it. I would do these big parties, okay. And I became Ghost of Dirty. And so eventually I went on a little tour, and I played in Florida, then I hopped a train to New Orleans. I performed in New Orleans, all the way up back to New York City. And I'm Ghost of Dirty, and I would perform at clubs, and I got arrested during a performance. Cops take me on handcuffs, and that's the kind of image that I wanted to portray.
So you still getting high?
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Eventually, I come back to Miami, and I start getting my life together. And I read this along the way when I was a person of the street. I read a book titled Inner City Miracle, and it was very motivational for me in the sense that I see that adversities can have positive outcomes.
And that's the book
I'm sorry?
wrote, Inner City Miracle, the book
That is your book,
authored.
Judge
okay.
Mathis, yes.
And that helped change?
I have a copy of it right here,
Right,
yes,
good.
sir.
But I wasn't on no crack, though. I'm just having fun with you. This makes me feel good.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate this.
Go ahead, thank you. So I was able to inspire you to change?
Very much so. And I started to work for a magazine in Miami. My job was to review nightlife activities in Miami. This dichotomy of trying to straighten myself out while at the same time be this party guy culminated in Halloween of 2009. I had an assignment at this party in Miami Beach. I got like tore up, and I got in my car about 4 in the morning, and I'm driving up this avenue along the ocean. I'm going the wrong way, and out of nowhere, a person darts across the street, and I hit this person. And my windshield shatters, and there's like blood all over the place, and I'm in the middle of the street. And so I pulled into the next street. I turned around. I see an ambulance. Cops come, and so now it's game over. Now it's like, I really have to get myself on the ball here, because I was facing 7 to 10 years in prison, mandatory. It was the most hopeless experience I've ever had.
So how'd you overcome it?
I had to plead guilty after about 1.5 years of the trial, because
Did you get probation? Or
I was on probation. I had like 1 million hours of community service.
Okay.
I had like $1 million of fines. I mean,
so what happened after that? I assume that helped?
I had a job tutoring people at a vocational school while I was on trial. And just so I could get back to the why, with Rob and everything, I start writing these songs about this DUI, how I hit a person with my car, and the trial and jail and all that stuff. And I'm getting some recognition there.
But you're off drugs at this time
Yes,
that you're referring to? Okay.
The judge said to me, if you violate probation in any way, I'm sending you to prison for 10 years. Do you understand? And that was pretty much, I understood that. So I had been like reading my Bible and praying, because the trial was still looming over my head. So I'm in this house drinking, and I say, God, I need to stop drinking. I go to work, and all I think about is when I can go get a beer. And so I feel this powerful presence of God, and I hear a knock on the door, and it's this woman who I'm tutoring, and she comes in and she goes, I didn't know you drink. In my country, that's like the barbarian rolling in the mud, and she goes totally crazy on me. And I'm starting to hear this like, okay, Jason, hang out with this woman and you'll stop drinking. So we've been married for about almost 4 years. We have a 1-year-old child, and believe me, she's the only rehab program that works.
Oh, great. Sir, what do you want me to know?
I got to know him a little bit more, and I was kind of interested and fascinated by his life and his thoughts and the way he spoke. So I started to...
When? What year did
This
you
was, I
become
think, around...
interested and impressed?
I think this is around 2004, 2005.
Mm-hmm.
This is tail end of me being in high school. So I got to know him a little bit better, and I knew that he started writing. I'm also a writer myself.
Okay, so you all's bond was based on your writing profession.
Yes.
And the party scene, I guess, as well?
Exactly.
All right. That's pretty much the extent of your relationship. Why did you all end it? Over the lawsuit?
Yes. Yeah.
All right, and that's for a breach of contract. What contract did he breach? Tell me about it.
Well, there was an announcement of this prize that Rob he spoke very high of it. It was a prestigious writer's prize, and he had won it a couple years ago, and he told me it opened doors and opportunities for him. The winner of this prize gets $50 per post. So any blog that you post, we give you $50 for it. So months and months went by. They announced that I was the winner.
Did they give you your $50?
No.
They did not?
They did not, no.
All right. Was he affiliated with them?
He's the editor of the website, yes.
Okay. They gave out the 50 for the contest winner.
Right.
All right. And what do you say to that, sir?
Well, he did not get his $50, sir, and that's
Why?
because he used the blog to shamelessly self-promote his own art and
Did he win the contest or not?
Yes, he won the contest.
Well, then, you owe him his money. Once you say you won, you owe him. You don't then say, well, I see I owe you. Let me come up with some things I didn't like about that. You should have thought of that before you awarded him the prize. The rest of your $100 is for what?
Part of what you win from this contest, besides the title, is $50 per post. So which means you can write blogs, and if they post it, if they put on their website,
an unlimited amount?
There was no actual number.
All right,
well, Your Honor, if I can say, he did win the contest by default because he was...
Good, all right, but he won. The key word, won. I got to take your word. You say won, he won. Go ahead. Now the other two things.
Okay, so well, the other two blog entries that he submitted, Secrets to Life Coaching, and I believe the other one is called Hair Metal Has a Bald Spot. These were just really focused on his own work as an artist and really just shamelessly self-promoted his own.
Did he have direction on what he was to write about?
Yes, he was told that he needed to write a piece of objective art criticism about culture.
All right,
in
anybody
Miami.
have that directive in writing?
Yes, I do, Your
Oh,
Honor.
good. Let's see. And so the question becomes, did you meet substantially the requirements that you were given regarding these blogs?
I can tell you
And
this
he
about
said, hold
Your
on,
Honor,
sir. Okay, this doesn't show the requirements. Do you have the requirements for what you were to write about? That's the central issue.
I have that one. It just says $50.
Pardon?
I do. $50 for a series of articles.
Prize requirements. This is the prize, sir. Do you have
Right.
anything that says what you must write about in the blogs?
There's some here, yes.
Woo! You did all that talking. When it comes time for your case, you got a bunch of evidence over there and you can't find it. There you go. Specifications. He probably has it, but he was avoiding giving me that because this probably makes clear whether you substantially met the specifications you were given. No official parameters, let's start with that, submitted and published. We kindly ask that you do justice to both your subject and reader. This is the only specification page, sir?
That's pretty much all that they sent me regarding, it seemed kind of open-ended, and it was about artwork, and all these
Okay,
blogs.
so this doesn't specify what you were to write about. Does anyone have anything in writing that says the subject matter he is to write about?
So I have these
All
blogs.
right, give me the things that you wrote.
There's-
And since we have no specifications
There's another
as to what you were to write about, and you have written to, and he can't tell me of any specifications or show me any specifications, or can you? What specifications do you want to give me?
Well, Your
What
Honor,
was he required to write about?
Art Lurker is a blog for the criticism of culture in Miami. And writers are
Critic.
supposed to write about art that is not their own and write about culture critically in a way that explores different issues in art and society.
Got it. Does your blog cover things involving culture in society?
100%. You can read the first.
Okay, can you point that out to me?
You can read the first few sentences of the first one. I describe an exhibit at a museum in Miami.
So your interview was regarding life coaching, which is a cultural phenomenon. All right, that's one out of the way. Your other blog is about what?
It's a review of a heavy metal concert.
Is attempting to annihilate Miami's current position as art world mecca for rich tourists. You're talking about the art world in Miami. I'm satisfied that he substantially met the requirements, and that is being a critic of art and culture. Have a good day. Judgment for the plaintiff.